Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Community Corner again. We are redoing my boss's interview. With me, I'm Mr. Ryan Nicholas Ray. All of him, my name is Mr.
I'm DeWitt Taylor. I'm your co-host.
With us today is a man who runs a catering facility in Rochester Hills, Michigan. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest at this time, Anthony Tocco. Anthony, thanks for coming down, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Now, please tell us about your life. Who were your parents?
Well, my parents were Jack and Maria Tocco,
Okay.
and they live in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. That's where I grew up.
Grosse Pointe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've actually been there. I've actually been there before.
I'm going to tell you why my dad grew up in the same place.
No kidding.
Yeah, the Joy family.
Well, you see, my dad.
What was the last name?
Taylor, Joy Taylor.
You know,
Taylor,
my dad grew up in Trenton, Michigan. In Trenton.
Sure.
He's a Trenton boy. Now, do you come from a large family?
I do. I come from a big Catholic family.
Catholic.
There was 4 boys and 4 girls in our family, so a family of 8. So I consider that a big family, although the schools I used to go to, just about everybody had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids in their family, but that was back then. That was pretty common. Now it's not so common.
It's not?
No.
Did your family do anything? Did you go to dinners? Did you do anything fun when you were growing up? Did you do anything fun?
Oh, sure. You know, I can remember when we were younger, and we had 8 kids in our family in a 9-year span. So there was times when we would go out to dinner, and we would all walk into a restaurant, and you could tell, you know, you'd have like an 11-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 6-year-old, 5-year-old, and people used to stare because it looked kind of comical having all those kids right in a row.
Yikes!
Yeah.
So you grew up in where? So where did you live growing up?
I grew up and lived in Grosse Pointe,
Okay.
just off of Alter and Jefferson on the east side of Detroit. So
Wow. That's pretty scary in Detroit.
no, it wasn't so scary.
Okay. What elementary school and high school did you attend?
I attended Catholic elementary school called St. Ambrose, and then I went to middle school, public school called Pierce Middle School, and my high school was at Grosse Pointe South High School.
You know, Grosse Pointe has changed actually. I was down there a couple weeks ago. It's nice, actually, nice down there.
Yeah, it was a very nice community to grow up in.
So
Yeah,
what did you want to be when you grew up? Wanted to be a chef, a cook, astronaut? What did you want to be when you grew up?
That's a good question. I don't know if I can remember that far back. I always enjoyed cooking, so I never really thought I'd be a chef, but I always kind of enjoyed being around food and serving people. And when in middle school, I used to work in a concession stand once in a while, and I always got a charge out of that. So I think, without really thinking about it, I thought that I would end up doing something in the way of serving people in the food and beverage industry.
So did you participate in any sports or other activities in school?
Yeah, I certainly participated in sports. I was pretty athletic. I played football, I played baseball, I played basketball. So I stayed real active as far as sports activities
Basketball.
were concerned.
What was it? Were you forward? Were you a guard?
I was a guard on the high school basketball team. I was a guard.
And what was the name of your high school basketball team?
The school name we used was the Blue Devils.
Blue Devils. Isn't like kind of the Duke Blue Devils?
The who?
The Duke Blue Devils.
The Duke, yeah, the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah,
I'm not
Duke
sure
University.
if we copied their name or not. And then when I went to college, I went to Michigan State University. I played rugby when I was at Michigan State
Rugby.
University.
Now, what in the world is rugby? I've never heard that sport before.
Oh, you've probably seen it on TV.
Yeah,
It's
rugby, they were sort of these English players there, okay?
very
You
popular
know,
in
in
England.
football they play in America. Well, rugby is played. You have these English players play on a football field on a field, and they have kick and they kick it. And they got these guys with their heads and they run around. It's quite fun.
Very interesting. Now, speaking of college, where I come in,
David?
Mr. Tocco, did you go to college?
I did. I went to Michigan State University.
Like my dad.
That's what he did.
He graduated in '63.
And that's where my sister Courtney went to school. And she went there, David. She went there, I think it was, she left her house in 2000.
Okay, I'm asking this question around. Why did you go to college?
Why did I go to college?
Yeah.
Well, I think that it increases your opportunities. If you get a college education, it gives you a better chance to get a good job. You learn a lot of good things in college that are going to help you when you try and go out and make a living. So
I had one question here. I don't increase this one. What did you study in college, and what kind of major did you get in?
I studied business. I was in the business school at Michigan State.
Wow.
And I was specifically in a field called hotel and restaurant management. So it was very pertinent to what I'm doing now as far as running.
What kind of major?
Major?
Yeah.
That's what the major was. It was hotel and restaurant management.
Oh, so they taught you like how to run hotels. They taught you how to cook things, you know.
Sure, we took some cooking classes. We took.
I cooked in middle school once. My teacher Joanne Green was my cooking teacher. And one time I was cooking in my cooking class once.
Yeah, I took food.
And what happened? I was sitting down at the table there, and Joanne Green said, "Ryan, I couldn't cook. You know why? I hadn't cleaned one pan. I couldn't make banana.
Why?
That's right. They made banana bread. I was mad. I wanted some. Now, you want to Crest, a banquet catering facility in Rochester Hills. So how did you get started in the banquet business and catering business?
Well, once I graduated from Michigan State University, I was looking for a job, and I interviewed with a couple hotel chains, but I had some people that I knew back in the Detroit area that were already running in a catering facility. And they asked me if I'd be interested in coming in partners with them and see if we could take over the facility I'm in now, the River Crest. So that's what I did right out of college. I went in partners with these two other gentlemen, and we started up the River Crest Banquet Hall, and we were running another facility at that time that was called Casa Bella.
Casa Bella?
Yeah, so
What is Casa Bella?
Casa Bella means beautiful home. But it was another place we had in Mount Clemens that we were doing catering out of.
That's interesting.
Why cut me off? Last question. What did college prepare you to do, and why?
Well, I think college, obviously you learn technical things in college. You learn accounting things, and you learn, as Ryan said, I took cooking classes, I took business classes. But I think as important when you go away to college is the fact that you just learn how to live on your own. You learn how to be more independent. You're not in your parents' home anymore. Yeah. So you have to learn how to make decisions for yourself.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, Anthony.
Right,
I had to do the same thing here when I left Oakland. It was difficult for me to leave Oakland University because, think about it, you know?
I totally agree with you because I learned to do that in high school.
Me too.
And you went to Oakland too for a while.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
One
you
year.
gotta
Summer's fall
I
would
took
be
political
my last year.
science. I took all kinds of different classes. They were all
So
very
that
hard.
was a big responsibility having to
Yes,
get
it
around
was.
on your own and get to classes.
So what types of events do you host at River Crest? Are these events held weekly or monthly? Do these events have any connection with you? Contact with you?
Well, I'm a real hands-on owner, so just about every event has contact with me. I mostly book the parties. I have an assistant there named Rebecca who helps out.
I know Rebecca. She's
Sure.
a nice lady. She's
But
very nice.
anything that people want a private room for, we'll do. We do a lot of weddings, so that's an important part of our business, is doing wedding receptions.
Special times.
We also do wedding ceremonies right on site because we have a beautiful patio and garden area that we can facilitate ceremonies there. But we do all kinds of different things. We do graduation parties. We do anniversary parties. We do blue and gold Cub Scout banquets. We do some reoccurring parties things like singles dances for a group called Parents Without Partners. We have the Rochester Rotary Club, meets there every week, and we have the Rochester Lions Club, which are two great fraternal organizations that both do wonderful things for the community that both meet at our facility.
David?
Okay, Ryan, I got 3 questions in one for you.
Okay.
All right.
Who planned and built River Crest and why?
All right, well, the Knights of Columbus actually built the River Crest. So that was back in the early 70s, and at that point they had a very strong club, and they needed a building similar to like an Elks Club. They built the facility, and then I guess towards the end of the 70s they realized that their membership was dropping off and they couldn't maintain the building. So they ended up selling it.
What does this name mean or stand for?
Well, we sit right on the bank of the Clinton River.
That's
So
right.
we were on the River Crest,
That's right.
and that's why it was called River Crest. When we first took it over, they called it River Crest Manor, and we
Manor?
kind of dropped the manor. That sounded a little stuffy to us, and we shortened it to just River
I never knew
Crest.
that.
Yeah, interesting little
Anthony,
fact.
you never told me that.
Right? My last question will get more interesting for you, Ryan.
David, ask away.
When you bought River Crest, did it already have this name?
When we bought it, it was in 1981. It was October of 1981, and like I
Hey.
said, when we first bought it, it was called River Crest Manor, and then we decided to change the name to just River Crest.
Manor.
Did you know that Ryan was born when it was established?
81, I was.
What's that?
Ryan was born that year.
81.
You were born in 1981?
Yes, I was, right here. I was born in the 80s.
Wow. See
I
that?
was. I was, Anthony. You know that. So, would you think that the food preparation is the key to a successful business, a successful event? How long does it take you to prepare food for a wedding reception? And did you grow up cooking?
Well, I'll answer that second question first.
Okay.
I did cook when I was growing up.
did?
I used to cook eggs in the morning because my mom didn't like cooking eggs. So
didn't? Why?
we wanted eggs, we had to cook it. I don't think she liked the smell of it.
The smell of it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, Anthony.
She was
My
a
mother,
great cook, and she made wonderful lunch and
I'll tell
dinner.
you something, Anthony. My mother, when she wakes up in the morning, Aaron, I'll tell you something. Every time I come downstairs,
Be careful what you say about your mom now. I mean,
I'm a
Yeah,
good person.
Ryan.
I like your mother. I like her a lot. I love your mother.
I
You're
got
wonderful.
2 questions for you.
okay. Well, wait. He asked about how long it takes us to prepare
An event for
an event.
wedding reception.
We usually start preparing early in the week. Usually on Monday or Tuesday, we'll
Okay.
look at the contract and order some food, and then we'll do some preparation depending on what the menu is. Sometimes we prep some of the food on Thursday or Friday, and then we might actually serve it on Saturday.
Really? So people like chicken or beef or steak? Or,
Oh yeah, we have a varied menu, and we'll cater to people's desires. So we'll do just about anything they
Yeah.
want.
Man, your menus are very interesting.
Good,
Hey,
thank you.
tell you something,
Welcome.
he's the best. That's why I work
I
for him
have
so
2
much.
questions here to catch up on.
All right, ask away.
What is the most difficult event to host and why?
Well, I don't know that there's one type of event. Like some of the weddings we do are harder than others. The brides might be more nervous or more particular. But that doesn't hold true just for weddings. Some of the weddings are very easy. They want it very simple. We might do other events where they want a very fancy menu. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wedding. So, it's hard to just give a blanket categorization like that. I think it just depends on the individual event as to whether it's going to be more difficult or not.
How many chefs and assistants like Ryan does it take to prepare the food for your wedding reception?
We have 3 full-time kitchen people at the facility, 3 chefs there, and then we probably have
And they are which are
another
Herb,
3 or 4
Scott,
part-time.
And Chip.
Herb, Scott, and Chip's real name is Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Hey,
And
Chip.
then we have another 3 or 4 part-time kitchen people that'll help prep the food.
Alex and Mike and Anthony and there's Antoine.
Mm-hmm.
We had
How about
Sarah.
Ryan?
Ryan helps with the setup and cleanup,
Yep,
and
Chris Funk.
Chris, and And then we have a wait staff. We have 8, 9 wait
Kathy
staff
and
people.
Now, I'm a personal question for you.
ask away.
Why did you invite Ryan to work at Crest?
That's a good question, David. I can answer that for you, David.
Go ahead,
The
Ryan.
reason that Anthony chose it is because he said, Ryan, I want someone who can work hard, someone who can listen, and someone who can follow directions. Those are the 3 key things he was looking
Is that
for.
right, Nino?
That's right.
Is it right that Ryan works hard all the time?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Oh, well, you've known Ryan longer than me. Do you think he works hard all the time?
Of course I do.
Sometimes he's lazy.
I'm not lazy, David. I'm not lazy.
Sometimes-
Well, hang on. It's okay. Let's not get off the track here.
Okay.
But yeah, Ryan actually came to me through a program at school
Yep,
called Wings,
I did.
and you've been working there quite a while now.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, a couple of years at least.
That's right, exactly.
Good. So we like having Ryan there.
I'm a nice guy. I'm nice.
Okay, now, Ryan.
So how do you decide what type of food or other events to offer for events? Is there a standard menu choices, or do your clients have the choices of menus?
Well, definitely clients always have a choice. We have standard menus that we'll show our clients,
Okay.
and then they can modify those any way they like. So we start out with some standard menus, and based on the type of event it is, the menus might vary a little bit if it's a luncheon, a dinner, if it's a blue and gold banquet versus a wedding. But ultimately, the client has the say as to what they want to serve.
David?
Speaking of clients, how would a person go about setting up an event with you?
Well, they can certainly call us. They can call us on the phone at 248-652-6706. We also have a website that they can go to look at some of our menus and to look at some pictures of the facility.
Nice.
That website address is www.rivercrestcatering.com. And then once they come in contact with me, we'll set an appointment for them to come down and we'll talk further.
That's right.
That's how Ryan got me interview with Navigate.
Right.
That's right. Anthony, tell me, have there ever been any unusual food requests from a client? Unusual things? Anything unusual?
Yeah, we've done a lot of different things over the years. I think probably the most unique menu we've done is we did one wedding that was completely a vegan menu.
Vegan, it means vegetarian.
So it's even a little more extreme than just vegetarian.
Yikes.
No dairy, nothing that comes from an animal or is a byproduct of an animal was served. So we had to go to a special store and buy some soy products and some special noodles, and we prepared a complete vegan menu. That was probably the most unique thing we've done.
Do you work with wedding or event planners?
Sure. If people choose to hire an event planner or an event coordinator, we'll work directly with the coordinator or planner so that we get the wedding the way that the bride and the groom want it.
Now I'm getting somewhere.
Yes.
Are weddings the most frequent event at River?
I think weddings are the most frequent event we do. We do them just about every Saturday, anytime from May through December.
Really? Mm-hmm. I think weddings are special times. So how many employees does it take to run a successful catering business like yours?
Well, I think it depends on the size of the facility. We can seat about 250 to 300 people at our facility, and it takes about 22 to 25, 26 people depending on how much we've got going on that day. Obviously, if it's a bigger facility, if it seats 500 or 600, they're going to need more people to properly do that.
So if David came to work for us, would you consider hiring David someday?
Well, I might consider hiring him, but I don't know if you guys could work together. You might not be good.
Too challenging for me, Ryan.
Yeah, right.
My person interest is in dogs.
Okay.
Really?
Okay,
You're
my-
interested
Yeah, I
in
love
dogs?
dogs.
Okay.
He has 2 dogs.
My brother Matt has 2 Miss Greyhounds.
Wow.
Their names are Cheney, and the other one I can't remember.
I have a dog named
names.
Shakespeare, and a bird named Fred that died. The bird Fred.
Oh, sorry to hear
Puzzle, and a bunny. So sometimes funny things happen at events. Can you share a funny story with us?
Huh, let's see.
It's about wine?
No, it's funny. I like to hear funny things.
Well, I think one funny thing that happened at an event was one of the bridesmaids went missing.
Missing?
Yeah, we.
So local
it was
four?
the end of the night, and her boyfriend said the bridesmaid that was his date was gone, and we couldn't find her. And what had happened is she had laid down on some chairs, and the tablecloth was kind of covering her, so no one could see her, and she had fallen asleep on the chairs. So we were looking all over the place for her, and it took us about 20 minutes to actually find her.
Did they say wake up? Did they say wake up?
Well, I'm going to say this hello
she was
Serene
sound
Beauty.
asleep. And then we've had a couple, when we do the ceremonies out on our patio and
Yeah.
garden area, we've had some brides and grooms faint because it's been kind of warm out
Too
there.
hot.
Yeah. And they're a little nervous, and so that all adds up.
Why do
can't-
people faint?
Well, I think because they get a little
Exhausted.
nervous, and they forget to breathe, and they get a little lightheaded, and then they faint.
Do you cater parties outside of Crest? And if so, what types?
We do cater parties outside of Rivercrest. We call that off-premise catering, and we'll do anything off-premise. We'll do weddings just like we do in the facility.
Okay.
We'll do weddings off-premise. We'll do graduations. We'll do
You know,
communions.
David's graduating, right? I think in
Next year.
next year. And you think you should call Anthony up and have a party. Really should.
Can we?
Sure.
Thanks.
Call him and ask
I
him.
got but a lot of questions to catch up with Ryan. What?
Recently, you received
Ryan?
an award from the
Hang on, Ryan.
Okay, David, you ask.
I got 3 to ask
Right.
here.
You are one.
The
sweet
first one
guy.
is, what is your busiest month of the year?
I would say that our busiest month is either going to be June or December.
No,
Why is that?
Now, why is that? Just curious.
Well, June ends up being a busy month because on top of the weddings and the showers we normally would do at that time of the year, you also have graduations. So that adds a lot to it. It's also right at the end of the school year, so we do a lot of school functions at the end of May and June. And a lot of corporations want to get their activities wrapped up by May or June because usually in July and August, a lot of people are off on vacations.
You know, something else. Hey.
Jeez.
And December is busy because it's Christmas time and we do a lot of Christmas parties.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Hold on, Ryan, there's more here.
What, David?
Do you have a slow time of the year?
We do. Probably our slowest time of the year is the first 3 months of the year, January, February, and March.
Really?
Why is that?
Well, I think primarily it's because of the weather. It's winter. People
cold.
don't want to get married when there's snow and cold out there.
It's below zero
Everyone kind of
outside?
hibernates like the bears do. And
Aaron,
we
do you-
end up doing not
Aaron,
very many
do
parties.
you find it funny? You always find things funny, Aaron, don't you?
What is the largest event that you have held yet?
Well, like I said, in our facility we can only seat about 300 people, so that's the largest we've done in. But when we do off-premise events, we can go much larger than that. I remember one time we did a picnic. I think it was 2,600 people. So we've done some pretty large events.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, Ryan, there's more here.
My dude?
Do you have a rule or limit of how many people can attend an event at Rivercrest?
That's a good question. That's a very good
It
question.
is a good question. We have 2 rooms at the Rivercrest. So if
South
we
room?
max out both our rooms, like I said, we can fit about 200 or 300.
Now, what does
But-
the word max out mean? I've never heard that word before.
Well, the maximum amount of people we can put in the hall.
Okay, for example, I came in one day. I wanted to have like 200 people come in. So how would you go about doing that?
Well, sure, we could handle 200 because we have, if we combine the rooms, we can go as high as 250.
Wow.
Like I said, if we keep the rooms separate, we can go 180 in the one room and 120 in the other room.
Okay, I have about 3 in one question for you.
What?
Yearly, I know you host a wine tasting event that raises money for the Rochester summer camp program called SCAMP, which is a camp for children with special needs.
That's correct. We actually do 2 wine tastings, and one of them is for Rah Rah Scamp, And they came to us years ago, I think actually through the Kiwanis Club. I used to be a member of the Kiwanis Club, and they used to meet at our facility. And they approached us in conjunction with the SCAMP program to have a wine tasting fundraiser. And so we've just continued on with that, and we've done it year after year. I think it's been 5, 6, 7 years now that we've done it.
What made you get involved with this event?
Well, I've always been willing to help out different fundraising organizations. My mother and father taught me that it's always good to give back to your community, to be thankful for what you have and give to people that might not be as fortunate. So we've always looked for different things we could do to help people with their fundraisers.
Okay, my last question is, how many years have you hosted this event?
Well, that's a good question. I'd have to go back and check, but I think it's been 6 or 7 years that we've hosted it.
Ryan?
Anthony, recently he received an award from the City of Rochester Hills for a continuation on the Green Space Initiative. Please tell us a little bit about the Green Space Initiative, and please tell us what you are doing to support this Green Space Initiative at Crest.
Okay, sure. I think a couple years back, people got together in Rochester Hills and wanted to try and figure out a way to preserve some of the green space, some of the land that wasn't developed yet. And they thought that if they could get a millage put on taxes, they could raise money and then use that money to purchase property to maintain some of the land that's around the rivers and some of the lowlands and some of the park areas. Rather than have it come in and be developed, they wanted to keep it pristine and keep it a green space area. So that's what they did. They were successful in passing that millage, but they also were encouraging people to not only sell their property to the Green Space Committee, but to donate it if they would. So we feel strongly about that program, so we donated a portion of our property to Crest to the Green Space.
Well, our last question before about our show, is I know that Santa comes to Crest each year to greet children with special needs.
That's true. Santa has come to the Crest every year. That's another program that we got started with through the Kiwanis Club, and usually he'll come end of November, beginning of December, and we put on a breakfast for the kids, and Santa shows up and hands out some prizes, and there's crafts, and it's a real nice function. Again, it's something we do on a charity basis.
Anthony, I'm going to cut you off. We have to end our show right now.
Okay, and let me co-host image for you.
I can do it.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'm Mr. Ryan Nicholas Gray.
I'm your host. Co-host Terry Taylor. Let's thank Ryan Spots
Anthony
for coming down.
Tocco for coming down. Anthony Tocco
And
coming
our
down.
floor director,
Aaron Content Castle. This has been Community Corner member people.
I'm David Taylor. This is Community
Corner.
Corner. Have a nice
Day,
day,
folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, folks. See ya.